Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, folks. How are you all doing? All good? How's your Holi? Good? Awesome. Let me quickly share my screen and then we'll get started. Yeah, Naveen, please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. My voice has changed a bit. Okay, it might be a bit low. It's a bit down, but don't worry. NLD topic for the day is, I think, SRP and OCP. Correct. SRP and OCP. The date today is 10th of March. Almost one quarter of the year 2023 is going to be over very soon. The time is like literally flying by. Literally flying. Anyway, cool. Let's get started, everyone. Let's begin. Just give me one last minute. I would be back. Just a minute. Yep. I know. Just a minute. Just wait for a minute. I will be back. Okay, so let's begin. What is the agenda for the day? Let me quickly write down the agenda and then we'll get started. Okay. So, agenda for the day. Number one, interfaces. Number two, abstract class. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me switch on my noise cancellation software because you get some noise in between. It's better to have that. Abstract classes. Then we will start with the solid. So SRP, that is single responsibility principle. And after that, OCP, that is opening close principle. Okay, cool. Let's begin. Let's get started, everyone. Uh, just let me know if you're getting any background noise right now. I think right now you might be getting. Are you getting any background noise? Yes. Okay. Okay. Let me quickly try to set it up. Just give me a second. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you all hear me? Yeah, are you getting any background noise? Is it cleaner, better than before? Yes? Okay, awesome. Cool. Yeah, clear? Okay, thanks. AI magic. So, software's name is Crisp. So I'll show you a demo for this, just to show you the magic of software, because we are software engineers, right? So let me give you just a demo, just a small demo, okay? Just a small demo. So just a small demo. So let's say if you were a major transit system facing cyber attacks, so you partner with IBM to keep your data, network, and apps protected. Are you able to hear anything? Now you can tackle threats without coming to video. Let's create cybersecurity that keeps your business on track. IBM. Can you now? Yeah, tell me now. Are you able to hear any background audio or any background sound or anything like that? Right now, are you able to hear any music, any background sound? No, right? Achha, okay. Now let us switch off the noise cancellation. Now, and if I switch it on, can you hear any background music or anything? Any background music or anything? Cool. So you understand the power of software and AI. Right? Cool. Chalo, let's begin. Uh, Devashish, yes, you can definitely. If your company allows you to install softwares, then you can definitely. But it is a paid application. You get 90 minutes for free in a day. So, like, to think about that. But anyway, cool. Let's begin. So, what is an interface? Everyone, what is an interface? Any idea what is an interface? What is an interface, everyone? Any idea? What is an interface? Abstraction? No idea. Sure. Take it. No worries. No worries. So when you create a class, what does a class contain? What does a class contain? What does a class contain? Attributes and methods, correct. Attributes and methods, correct. Attributes is the data points or the properties. Methods are the behavior, correct? Right? So what is this class? Class is nothing but a blueprint of the object. Is everybody clear on this? Everybody knows this already, right? Yes? Okay, fantastic. Let's move forward. What is interface then? Interface is nothing but it is a guide the behavior of a group of object. Guides the behavior of a group of object. Okay, or group of entity, whatever you call it. Okay. Let's see. Tell me one thing. Let's say there is an animal. Now, inside the animal class, we write something, let's say a method called walk. Let's say there is a walk method. Okay. Now, group of objects, group of objects, I mean, grammar thinks you can take care of it. That's better. Okay. Anyway, cool. So let's say animal is there, right? Now, let's say you all know inheritance, right? So what I'll do, I'll create three children of animals: a dog, a cat, and an elephant. Now, by the virtue of inheritance, everybody, will all of them get the walk method copied over? So no, this will get copied over to this. This will get copied over to this. This will get copied over to this. Correct. But my question to all of you is, should the or would be the walk method same across dog, cat, and elephant? Yes, no, yes, no, no. Right. It won't be. It won't be. Right. The way of walking, speed of walking, things will be different, right? So, should you do inheritance in this case? What should we do in that case? Now, what I want to do is, what I want to implement or what I want to enforce here is that all animals can walk, but all animals walk differently, right? In that case, by inheritance, everyone, by inheritance, we can do the first point, because if I create an animal class, if I keep a walk method here, and if I create the children, then everybody will have the walk method, yes or no? Are you clear with the first point? Right? By inheritance, we can achieve this very easy. How will you achieve the second point? That all of them have a different walk method. How will you achieve the second point? Okay. Okay, Dinesh. Okay, no. Override. Okay. Few people have said override. Okay. Can we override all the walk methods in the child classes? Override means the new logic in the child class, right? I hope all of you remember we did override in the last class. Right? Everyone? But if I override it here, then my question to you is, what is the use case of this method implementation? Is there any use case for this method implementation now? Will anybody use this? No, right? Then why are we writing this? Why are we writing this method at all? I mean, there's no use case, right? So let's say now, apart from walk, I want to add more functionalities. Let's assume that now I will say all animals can walk, run, and eat, but all of them will walk, run, and eat differently. Then what will you do? Do the same thing. You do the same thing, but in a very specific manner. Let's say walk, run, eat. So don't you think we are unnecessarily writing these methods? Don't you think we are unnecessarily writing these methods? Yes or no? Correct. Sort of no, right? I mean, there's no default work. You have to give its default. You have to give the specific implementation. There's no default work. Right? There is no use case of this. There is no default eat, default walk. An animal can only walk or eat or run in a specific way. Right? So why are we unnecessarily implementing this? So here comes the idea of interfaces and abstract methods. What we do is, instead of creating an animal class, what we do, we create an interface called animal. interface animal, and we just write the method names, return type, and the parameters. That's it. So walk will not return anything. Void walk, void run, void eat. Okay. Now abstract method, right? Abstract methods. What are abstract methods? Basically methods having only signature and return type. What is method signature, everyone? What is signature, everyone? Name and input parameters. Correct. Correct. You are right. So methods having only signature and return type with no implementation are called abstract methods. Okay. So let me quickly show you an example for this. Okay. Let me show you the code demo for this and how it will enforce you to do the changes. Okay. Just give me a minute. Let me quickly show you the code for this. Okay. Okay. Five. Just a second. LLD Feb 2023, LLD Feb 2023, open new window. Quickly let me know if you guys can see my screen. No, from interfaces you cannot create objects. Sort of. Can you create a class from an interface? Uh, by inheritance, yes. But can you create an object from an interface? No. Can you guys see the IDE? Is the IDE visible to all of you? Awesome. Okay. Let me quickly create a new package called interface and abstract. Yeah, I will just don't worry. You'll see the code properly. So let's say anime. Can you see the code properly? Is the code readable, everyone? This are you able to see these lines properly? Okay. ठीक ठीक. You guys want white background? ठीक है. I'll make it white. Better. Just give me a minute. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Hey everyone. Sorry. So, what I was saying. Let me jump onto this just a second. So you guys can see my screen. Huh. Okay. Now in animal interface, we will write three methods: void run, void eat, void walk. Now, what happens? As soon as I will create an animal called, let's say, dog, dog implements the interface. Okay? Implements animal. You don't extend an animal, you implement an animal. Okay. So basically here, do you see this error coming up? Red error. So until or unless you don't override the methods, you don't write their own implementations. Guys, are you getting any background noise? Any background noise is there? No, right? Awesome. Good, good. Awesome. This app works like magic. Anyway, so what I was saying, till the time I don't override the methods, till the time I don't override or implement the methods, it will keep showing the error. So as soon as I will implement them, you see the error goes away. And inside this, I can just write down, let's say, dog is running, dog is sleeping, dog is okay. Similarly, let's say I can create one more, let's say cat, implements animal, until or unless I uh, until and unless I don't implement the methods, it will keep throwing an error. I'll have to implement the methods. I implement the methods here, and then I will again do that. Amit, unfortunately, no. Cat is running. Cat is eating. Yes. Okay. Done. Now you can just go ahead and create a client class. Prolific void main, and then create, let's say, dog d equals to new dog d dot run, and specifically, let's say, cat c equals to new cat dot run, and you can just run this. Dog is running, cat is running. Done. Okay. So are you clear what happened? We had two major points, right? We had two major points, right? The major points was all animals should have walk, run, and eat, correct? And all elements should have specific implementations of walk, run, and eat, correct? So did you see for any of them, if I, let's say, don't implement even one method, it starts giving an error. That means you have to implement all the methods in the interface. So is the first point getting corrected, that all elements should have walk, run, and eat? As soon as I implement the interface, it makes sure that your class should have all the three methods that the interface has. And the point number two, because you're writing your own implementation for each class, you can write the code in such a way that all of them are specific implementations and not simply generic. Is everybody clear on this thing, on the concept of interfaces? Any questions you have? Any questions, everyone? Yes, no, yes, no. Any questions? Please respond. Yes, no, clear, not clear. Any questions you have, please feel free to ask if you have anything. Is everybody clear? Yes or no? Yes, no. I mean, so basically for now, I'll just tell you to implement to understand one thing is that this is the use case. Like I want to create, let's say, a group of entities together which have some specific methods, but they have their own implementation of that methods. Okay. For example, let's say if I'm creating, let's say, a vehicle management system, let's say vehicle management system. In this, let's say I have multiple types of, let's say, vehicle. Let's say, for example, in car, we have BMW, we have Audi, we have Mercedes. Let's say in bike, we have BMW, let's say Honda, Hero, and Bajaj. Let's just assume. Okay. Now I want all my cars to have, let's say, air conditioning, Okay. Automatic gearbox, automatic gear, and let's say sunroof. Now in bike, I want all of them to have uh, uh, self start. Let's say pillion seat, or let's say headlight. No, not ignition. Let's say ignition and accelerator. Let's say. Just assume this much. Okay. Now my question to all of you is: will the air conditioning work the same way, or be engineered internally the same way for BMW, Audi, and Mercedes, or the gearbox will work the same way as it will do for BMW, Audi, and Mercedes? Will they be same, everyone? Will these three things be same? No. That means you would want different implementations for them. But you would want all the cars to have these features. You would want all your cars to have these features, but specific implementations of these features. So in that case, what would you do? How will you achieve this? That I want all the features to be present, but in their own specific implementation. How will you achieve this? How will you make sure this happens? Interface. Interface. What interface will you create? What interface will you create? What interface will you create? Like interface. What will you name the interface? Will it be vehicle interface, Manas? Okay, so vehicle, car is also a vehicle, bike is also a vehicle. Are they sharing the features? Bike and car, exactly. So here I can create a car interface, and then BMW implements car. Similarly, Audi implements car. Similarly, Mercedes implements car. Here, same thing you can do for bike interface. You can create a bike interface and then implement all of it. Make sense, everyone? Is it now clear the use case of interfaces? We'll go more deeper into it, don't worry. Lot of things yet to be covered. But at the very high level, are you clear with the use case of interfaces? Okay, everyone, yes, no? Yes, no? I'm not getting enough responses, guys, being very honest. We have 50 plus people in the class and I'm getting 3 responses. Not fair. Then I'll just not ask you whether you're clear or not. I'll keep moving forward. Now, it is, but it only it just contains abstract methods, nothing else. It is basically blueprint of the behavior, you can say. It is sort of like the blueprint or direction of how somebody should behave, like what methods should they have. That is what interface is. Okay, so everyone, when we extend the class, in the inheritance, let's say the parent class has 3 methods. Can the child class only have 3 methods or more? Will it only contain 3 methods that is coming from parent or more? More. Okay. Now here, same thing. The interface contains 3 methods. Will the dog class contain only 3 methods or can it have more? More. It definitely needs to have 3 of them. But it can have more. Right? So for example, public void bar. What can have? Bar. But these 3 has to be there. Apart from that, you can add more if you want. Cool. Sure. So is the idea of inheritance clear, everyone? Karthik, where do you write the implementation? Do you write the implementation on the class level or on the interface level? So why will there be an ambiguity on this? You can create the object of that class, no? Anyway, I'll come to that, don't worry. I'll come to that, don't worry. That is yet to be discussed. So for example, let's say everyone, how many of you read while in a DSA in Stack? Did you guys do the implementation of Stack? What did you use to implement? What did you use to implement Stack? Array or list. So you did array Stack implementation using array or linked list. Now, either of them, everyone, either whether you do by Stack or by linked list, sorry, by array or linked list, all of them should have their own push, pop, and top methods. Is that correct? Either an array implementation or the linked list implementation. But is the code and the logic of push, pop, and top same in an array and a linked list? Are they same? No, right? So that's why, can you do something like this? Can you create this structure? Like Stack will be an interface and it will be implemented, let's say by Stack array and Stack linked list, two classes, right? So basically, those of you who are familiar with Java would know that in Java collections framework, you can create stack like this. Stack S equals to new linked list. And stack S equals to new array list. So you can create stack either via linked list or and array list. Correct? And stack is nothing but your interface. Got it? Anyone? So this is your homework, by the way. Okay, just give me 1 quick minute. I would be back in less than a minute. Okay, cool. Let's move forward. Now, let me give you a little story, okay? A very interesting story, which will give you a lot of idea. Now, everyone, if I create something like this, let's say animal A equals to new dog, will this work? Will this work? It will work. What is this called? What is this called? Upcasting. Correct. Upcasting, right? Because animal is the like parent and then implemented by this, right? Okay. Fantastic. So let's say some method public void some method. Here I'm taking animal A and they're doing A dot run, A dot walk, right? Can I call this method either with some method, either with passing a dog object, or with a cat object, correct? Right. Either of them I will do, but it will basically change. So if you do run, if the object passes dog, it will do like dog run. Like here it will basically run as dog, right? Here it will run as cat. But these changes will not be changed, right? Do I need to make any changes here? Do I need to make this A to a dog or this A to a cat? Do we need to make these changes? I can directly pass a dog or a cat, right? Because it's an animal which is the parent type. Everyone, upcasting, you remember, right? We discussed about this thing that it can be a list of, let's say, user, public void, print all names. Do you remember this method we wrote as an example? List of user. And this list can contain any kind of user, student, instructor, TA. Do you remember, everyone? Okay. No code change is required, right? For that, like whatever object you pass, you can pass what that object. Okay. Now, everyone, now here comes the question. How many of you remember this thing that few years back, Yes Bank was blocked by RBI? Do you remember this? For doing any kind of transactions? Do anybody remember this? That Yes Bank was blocked by RBI to do any kind of transaction? Yes, correct. Yes, you are right. Now, if you remember back then, PhonePe application was completely dependent on Yes Bank to do all its transactions. Anybody remembers this? PhonePe was using Yes Bank at, at the back end to run all its infrastructure. And I don't know if you remember, but that time, a lot of LinkedIn posts, lot of social media hype and all came in because PhonePe was able to come back within 24 hours. Came back with full services within 24 hours. Anybody remembers this phenomenon? Anybody remembers? So the question is, how was PhonePe able to do so? How was PhonePe able to come back in less than 24 hours? So the answer to this question is interfaces. Okay, interfaces. Now let's understand this a bit in detail. Okay, so let's assume that PhonePe. Let's assume that. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry. Yeah. So what I was saying is that let's say there is a PhonePe class, right? Let's assume that there is a PhonePe class. Let's assume that there's a PhonePe class. Okay, there's a class called PhonePe. Now PhonePe is dependent on Yes Bank, right? So there might be some Yes Bank's API method, right? Some Yes Bank API class will be there. Let's say there's a class called Yes Bank API, which PhonePe calls to do transactions. So let's say Yes Bank's API is called, let's say, int check balance, right? You pass the user details, you get the balance. Let's say a boolean register a user, boolean register, let's say user. Then let's say boolean unregister a user. Let's say remove a user, unregister a user. Then let's say make some payment. So payment, let's say pay from to amount and all that, right? So these are the few methods which you can use. Now, everyone please don't get diversed when we're discussing, right? Let's focus here in the class. So now, PhonePe class, right? Now, PhonePe class uh, will be dependent on this Yes Bank API, yes or no? Will be dependent on this Yes Bank API, right? So internally, it will create an attribute for this Yes Bank API called Yes Bank API. Let's call it Bank API. Bank API equals to new Yes Bank API. Correct? The Yes Bank API object is here. Now, inside this, let's say whenever wants, let's say inside PhonePe you want to send money. Let's say Boolean send money. What will you do first? You will register the user. If the user is registered or not, register the user. Bank API, sorry, bank API dot register. Bank API dot register. Then let's say bank API dot. You will first check the balance, right? Without checking the balance, can we send the money? No. So check balance. And then finally, once everything is fine, bank API dot pay. Correct, everyone? This is the case. Is everybody clear with this structure? That we have a Yes Bank API which is giving us all the banking functionalities, right? Sorry, that will come in later on. We'll discuss that. That's not the point today. API is basically calling, let's say, some other services method. That's it. Okay. For now, we just understand that it's basically a way to call some other services method. Now, my question to all of you is that Yes Bank gives you some APIs, basically some methods to do a few bank-related transactions, and PhonePe is dependent on Yes Bank API and is writing the method like this. Everybody clear till this point? Yes or a no? Yes, no, yes, no. Please respond, guys. Clear, right? Okay. Now, Yes Bank went down. Yes Bank went down. Let's say Yes Bank went down. So, what PhonePe needs to do now? Change the banking partner. So, it went to, let's say, ICICI Bank. So, ICICI Bank, similar to Yes Bank, also has, let's say, an API. But the problem is, do you think the method name, the method signature, and everything would be same as Yes Bank? ICICI Bank is a different team, different tech team. How would they know what is the name and all Yes Bank is using? So what ICICI Bank did, these methods are now called, instead of check balance and instead of reading an int, it returns a float and it is called get balance. Instead of register, it says add user and it returns the user object. Okay, it returns, let's say, inside this unregistered, it is called remove user. Remove user, and instead of pay, it says the transaction. Okay, so now just give me 30 seconds. Okay, just 30. What happened? Suddenly my allergies again got triggered. Okay, so now everyone, let's say I have to let's say now change this method inside the PhonePe class, because now the PhonePe class will be dependent on what? ICICI Bank. Right? It is now dependent on ICICI Bank. So ICICI Bank API, Bank API equals to new ICICI Bank API. So everyone, in this case, instead of register, you have to now call it add user. Then instead of check balance, it will be get balance. Instead of pay, it will be called transaction. So don't you think that in the entire code base, if I change my dependency from Yes Bank to ICICI Bank, there will be a huge change across the code base because there's this follows a different method name and method signature and return type. This follows a different method name and method signature and all that. Everyone, yes or no? Yes, obviously, Hari. Lot of other classes with lot of other methods, changing all of them, testing all of them, doing all that. Do you think it's possible to do in less than 24 hours? Something like a phone pay kind of an application which is using by millions of users? No, right? Exactly. No. So the idea here is here changing from Yes Bank to ICICI Bank is a very time consuming process and extremely prone to errors, isn't it? Extremely prone to errors. Okay? So to solve this, what happens is that for UPIs and all these things, which is the government organization which created the UPI and all that? Which government organization created the UPI? NPCI, correct. So what NPCI says that, okay, all of you, I'm giving you an interface. Okay, I'm giving you a standard interface called a bank API interface. And inside this, I'll mention the methods that you need to have. So int check balance. Okay, Boolean add user. Okay, Boolean remove user. Okay, payment pay. Now NPCI says that this is the interface that every bank has to follow. That every bank has to follow when creating their APIs. So Yes Bank API will implement this. ICICI Bank API will implement this. Let's say Axis Bank API will implement this. All the bank APIs will have to implement this method. Now everyone, by implementing these methods, what happens? The method signature, the return type and everything becomes same. But every bank can have their own implementation details, but the method signature and the return type remains the same. Does that make sense? Everyone, does that make sense? Now, here in this class, then what I have to do is, instead of being dependent on Yes Bank API, we just depend on the bank API. And here either use Yes Bank API or ICICI Bank API or Axis Bank API. Doesn't matter. Your below code will not change, right? Will your below code change, everyone? Will our below code change? So just changing one line of code, are we able to move from ICICI from Yes Bank to ICICI Bank? Where is the object, Lashmina? Where are we upcasting to different object? We never upcast to an object, right? We upcast to a class or an interface. Everybody, are you clear with this example and how interfaces are able to save PhonePay's life? Because PhonePay wrote the code in such a way. Yes, no? Yes? Okay. So basically, the idea here is that if Yes Bank, if PhonePay was dependent directly on Yes Bank API, this would have been called something known as tightly coupled. Right? So extremely difficult to separate, extremely difficult to change. Difficult to change. Right? But here, PhonePay was not dependent on actual Yes Bank API. It was dependent on the bank API interface. and it could use whatever objects it wanted. If it wanted Yes Bank, it could use Yes Bank, ICICI, Access, whatever it wanted to use, it could use. This is called loosely coupled. So you should always, systems should always be loosely coupled. Systems should always be loosely coupled. Okay? No, we don't. We just write the method signature and return type. I wrote this here. Hari, did you join late? Did you in case join late? Methods having only signature and return type with no implementation. See? Correct, Naveen. You're right. Right? No worries. No worries. No worries. Everyone clear on this? See, like millions and billions of dollars will be saved if you write proper code. If you don't write proper code, your money will go gone away. Okay? Chal. You know what is this like? If you want to understand in real life more, right? Just give me a minute. 10 seconds. Yep, I'm back. So, if you want to understand the thing, this is in real life, right? So, the real life learning from here is never be too much attached to one person. If they leave, you will be messed up, right? So, let's say you got it, right? So, never be attached to a specific person, be attached to values, right? Never be attached to a specific person, be attached to values. You want a honest person, you want a fit, like healthy person, you want a person with optimistic outlook. That can be any person, right? So if you have a breakup, it's fine. Find someone with same qualities. Person doesn't matter. The properties do. So whenever you have to, let's say, break up with someone next time, tell them you have the properties, but your implementation is not what I like. I would like to change the object for a different implementation. Chalo, cool. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. It's a good reason, right? You don't like the implementation that they do, right? Chalo, let's move forward. Now, let's move forward to something known as abstract class. What is an abstract class? So, you know, an entity has what? You know, an entity is what? An entity has attributes and behaviors. Correct? Has attributes and behaviors. Attributes are not possible in an interface. So attributes are not possible in an interface. Interface only contains abstract methods. Interfaces will only contain abstract methods. Now, let's assume there's a scenario. Let's assume there's a scenario where we know the data points, we know some behaviors, but we don't know some particular methods. Let's assume that. Assume a scenario where we know specific details and some methods, but don't know the full entity. What do I mean by this? Let's assume that there is a student behavior. Okay, there is, let's say, student. So when you're enrolling a student in a school, you would definitely know their name, their age, their address. You would also know how they like, let's say, for example, you can test, right? Test their like, get test scores, like how much was their interest test score and all that. Let's say, check, let's say, physical ability. All these can be done while you admit a student. But everyone, how the student studies or performs in the school after the admission, can you figure out that at the time of admission? Can you figure that out at the time of admission? That how the student would, let's say, what do you say, study? So let's say there is a method called study. How will the student study in the school? Will you know that? No. So that means I need to create an entity such that I can have its name, age, address, scores, physical ability. But study is something that I don't know yet. So what I will do, I'll make this abstract. So what is that tool? What is that thing available that allows us to keep these things with an abstract method? What is that tool? What is that thing that allows us to keep attributes, some concrete methods, basically a normal method, and abstract method together? All these things together. What is that tool? A class? In a class, can you create an abstract method, Deepak, in a normal class? You cannot create an abstract method in a normal class. That class is called abstract class. Exactly. Abstract class. You're right. Okay. 10 seconds, everyone. My like allergies got triggered a lot. Just 10 seconds. Sir. Okay. Now, so this is called abstract class, right? Abstract class basically allows us. So we'll have attributes. Okay. 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 We can show what kind of an attribute and which language are you using? Java. Is it a normal attribute or is it a static or a final attribute or a default attribute? You're able to create a normal attribute. It should not work. It's a default attribute. It's a default attribute. It's a default attribute. It is a default attribute. Default and static and all I'll discuss later on. That's a default attribute. It's a default attribute. Yeah. I'll discuss that later on. Okay. We'll come to more details. Like we have to go deeper into it. Like this is just the high level stuff today. We'll go deeper into it. Don't worry. Okay. So everyone, let's start. So basically, now here any student object, let's say any child of student object, let's say, or any type of student object, any type of student, it will contain all attributes or all methods plus abstract method. Correct? So for example, let me now show you something else. Let's take an animal as an example. Now, tell me, all animals will have some name. Array, what is happening? All animal will have a name. All animals will have, let's say, number of legs. And all animals will breathe. Is that correct? No matter what the animal is, it will breathe. But let's say there's a method called walk. Do you know how all the animals will walk? Walking is something very different, right? Among the animals. Every animal will walk differently. So in this case, let me do one thing. Let me show this to you as a code in the code. Okay. So let's go here. So let me. Let's say create an abstract class called animal. Now, first of all, this is a normal class right now, right? You can see normal class, right? Now let's say, Naveen, no, not that straightforward. Okay, let's say everyone here in this class, I add string name. It's a string name. Let's say int number of legs. Now, here comes the question. Public void b. Let's say animal is breathing. Animal is breathing. Now, can I add a abstract method here? Public void walk. Can we do this? Normal class. Can you do this? First of all, you have to write something known as an abstract keyword here. Still, are we able to do this? No. So, question number one, point number one. Can a normal class contain abstract methods? Yes or no? No. Okay. Let's make this abstract. So now, is there any error if I make this class abstract? Now, can an abstract class contain concrete methods? Concrete means which already have their implementation ready. Concrete as in normal. Yes or no? Yes, it is containing here, right? Yes. Okay, question number two. Can an abstract class contain attributes? Yes. Yes. Question four. Can we create an object of an abstract class? Answer will be no. Why no? Let's see. Everyone in this abstract class, let's say if I create animal A equals to new animal, and after that if I do A dot walk, what will you do? What will you do? Let's assume that if I create an object for this, let's say Java allowed me to create an object, and if I did A dot walk, what will you do? Saurav, do you see this? The body of the method? Saurav, do you see the body of the method? Is there a body in the abstract class, abstract method? Clear now? Difference between normal and abstract? Okay, okay, everyone. So if the walk is not present, will an animal know how to walk if you have not written the walk method yet? No, right? So then it might contain lot more abstract methods, right? No, Ashwinath, no. By default, you cannot create. That's the rule. Now, everyone, last question. Does an abstract class need to have abstract method? Let's see, if we remove this, is there any error? Any error? No, no error. So the answer is no. No need to. Yeah. No need to have. No need to have. Okay? Even if you remove this, you can see there is no error coming. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's create an animal called dog. Dog extends animal. Now, if you see here, as soon as I extended the animal, do you see this error? Why is this error coming up? Why is this error coming up, everyone? Okay. What kind of a class is dog? What kind of a class is dog? Normal or abstract? Normal. And it is extending from animal. So it will copy everything from animal by the virtue of inheritance. By inheritance, everything will get copied. Okay. So the abstract method will also get copied. Abstract method will also get copied, yes or no? So, but can a normal class contain an abstract method? No. So you will have to implement the abstract method, right? So you'll have to implement this. So let's say, now yes. Okay. So basically, abstract class gives you the abstraction with the added advantage of having attributes as well. In interfaces, I cannot have concrete methods. For example, if I create public void walk, let's say breathe. See the error? See the error? See the error? Right? Interface abstract methods cannot have body. Hey everyone. Hello. Sorry, my internet got shut down suddenly. I don't know what happened. My internet went off. I'm back. Can you all hear me? See my screen? All good? ठीक 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 है. Cool. So basically, abstract class is giving an added advantage of attributes and concrete methods apart from the abstract methods, right? Actually, you're right. You're right. But I mean, Java allows you to do that if you want to do it. There's no use case. Obviously, if you want to make it like that, it's wrong. It's not correct. Which to use when? Okay. Now, static default, not right now. I'll discuss static in upcoming class singleton design pattern. And what to use when, I will hold that for today. In the next class, I will add that. Okay. So I'll hold that what to use when. Because if I don't give you certain, what do you say, business cases or conditions, practical use cases, how will you understand, how will you make that decision? I don't want to give you theory, right? So let's do one thing. Let's take some time. Let's just take some time to go through the basics of interfaces. You guys create some interfaces, create some abstract classes, write some code, and then we'll come back and discuss this. Okay. Default or static method, okay, but now we can implement default attributes and default methods in interfaces to try to make that abstract messages. Karthik, yes, you can. I'll not go in that direction, B. I'll discuss default static because a lot of people also come from non-Java background, right? So if I go into that direction, it will actually defeat the purpose of the actual class. So I'll not go in that direction. Okay. But I will definitely discuss. Don't worry about that. At the right time, I'll discuss. We have a lot more sessions coming up. So this was just for the fundamentals. Now the use cases, when to use what, pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages, everything will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. Don't worry about that. Okay. Let's do one thing, everyone. Let's not take a break. I will take the session for another 25 minutes. Complete SRP. We'll keep OCP for the next day, and then we'll move forward. And then I'll drop off the session. Is that okay? If you don't take a break and continue and complete the entire session early? Okay, awesome. Okay. By the way, I think there is a change in time, right? In your sessions? Half an hour earlier? On 14 March, yes, exactly. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you happy or are you sad? No, Tuesday, Thursday, no. Your WFS, right? You'll say WFS. No, Rajesh, because ambiguity is on implementation. Ambiguity is never on the method signature. The actual implementation is a single implementation inside the class C. Only the class C has the implementation. That's it, right? Nothing else is the implementation. So, Akshay, okay, sorry, I marked it answered. But Akshay, basically what you can only do, let's say there is an interface, everyone, let's say there is an interface called animal, and it has 4 abstract methods. And there is a class called dog, which is implementing this interface. So minimum number of methods in the dog will be how much? Minimum number of methods in the dog will be how much? 4. But let's say with apart from this 4, I added 4 more, right? 4 coming from here, 4 coming new. So if I use animal A equals to new dog, how many methods will I be able to call using this A remote? With this A reference variable? How many will I be able to call? Only 4, right? Only 4. So this will only be used to call 4 methods. And the implementation will be inside the object. You cannot call the 4 new methods if you use the animal interface. Okay? Akshay, am I able to clarify your doubt? Give me a yes or no if you're able to clear. Awesome. Okay. So let's jump on to SRP. Okay? SRP. So basically, solid principles, each letter of the solid is a principle. S is single responsibility principle. Okay. Okay. Single responsibility principle. Now let's take an Amazon question. A question from Amazon. Design a bird. Design a bird. Okay. Design a bird. Now we'll go into this using solid principles. By the way, sorry. What is a solid principle? What are solid principles? What are solid principles? Solid principles are nothing but guidelines to design software systems. Guidelines to design software systems. Okay. So first of all, these are guidelines. They are not rules. They are not guidelines. They're just guidelines. They are not rules. It's not like if you don't do solid, your code is wrong. It's not like that. But you should try your level best to achieve solid. Okay. All the 5 principles that I'll teach you here, we will try our level best to achieve solid. At some cases, it might not be possible. Just clarifying it right away. Some cases it might not be possible. Specifically in your job, some cases it might not be possible. But in general, you should try your level best to achieve solid. And why do we try to follow solid? What advantage does solid give us? Solid makes your code. Solid makes the code more extensible. Just a minute. Yeah, this is very irritating. Let's take a 2 minute break, okay? Take a 2 minutes break. We'll resume at 8:57, 58 a.m. Okay, 2 minutes. Hey everyone. Okay, so what I was saying, solid principles make our code more extensible. I think we have already discussed this, right, in LLD. Why we need to learn all these things, because we want to have a more extensible code, more maintainable code, a reusable code, right? Modular code, easy to read, right? Easy to debug, right, and all that. Modular means small pieces, not huge chunks of methods. Small pieces that can be reused again and again. Small methods and all. Okay. So let's say everyone, the question is design a bird. Assume you have to build a software system where you can store information about birds and make them do some activities. Okay, so basically a system where I can store some birds and make them do something. Basically think of like a bird game where you have a lot of different types of birds. You can make the birds do something inside the game. Simple. right? So what information are we storing and what activities can we make them do? Let's see. So let's say for each bird, we would want the name of the bird, the type of the bird, the number of wings, let's say the bird has, right? Weight of the bird, and let's say color of the bird. And the activities that we want it to perform is fly. The bird should fly. The bird should make sound, and the bird should dance. Okay? Cool. Fly, make sound, and dance. Now, the simplest way, let's say, to make it is that simply you can have let's say a normal bird class. So you can do bird b1 equals to new bird. And in this b1, you can do b1 dot set name as pigeon, right? b1 dot set, sorry, pigeon is type, no, set type. Set name is, let's say, bird1. Okay. And all the other details. Okay. Similarly, bird b2 equals to new bird. Let's say b1 dot set b2 dot set type crow. Let's say b2 dot set name bird2. Okay, so on and so forth. Now, my question to all of you is, if I do bird1 dot fly or bird1 dot make sound, if there is a single bird class, don't you think all of the birds will fly in the same way and make sound in the same way? Yes or no? Single bird class, right? Correct. But is that a correct thing to do? Should all the birds fly in the same way and make sound in the same way? Will a pigeon and a crow make the same sound? No, obviously not. So what do we do? Okay, we thought, okay, let's do one thing. The make sound method that you have inside the bird class, let's make it a bit like simple, right? So the make sound method that we have inside this, if type of the bird is equal to crow, then you, let's say, print out s out, let's say cow cow. Else if the type is equal to sparrow, you will, let's say kui kui, whatever the sparrow does, right? Else if the type is equal to pigeon, you do, what does pigeon do? Good good, whatever it is, right? Cuckoo, whatever it is. Okay. Similarly, else if the type is, let's say, equal to parrot. Parrot will speak, right? Like normal human guys speaks. So on and so forth. I can keep add all these things. How many of you think this is a good idea to write a method? Or how many of you think it's a bad idea to write this method? Is it a good idea to write a method like this? Is it a good idea to write a method like this? Why bad? Why bad? So many if else, exactly. Too many if else are present. Too many if else is present. Okay. So what is the problem with this issue? Like what issues can come up, everyone? What issues might come up? Number one, whenever a new bird comes, it has to be made a change. Correct. So what is this, everyone? Whenever a new bird comes, a new feature is coming. So What problem it is? Extensibility problem or maintainability problem? Extensibility problem or maintainability? Extensibility issue, right? Exactly. Not easily extensible. Also, testing, debugging, and all will be difficult, right? Difficult to maintain. Difficult to test. Difficult to understand. Right? So many problems. You should not never write some kind of a code. Right? Again, there is no reusability. No reusability. Can I use this method anywhere else? Such a heavy, complex, big method. Can I use this method somewhere else to do something else? Is there any reusability of this? No. You know what is the last problem, the biggest problem? It violates the S of SRP. What do we mean by validates the S of SRP? Let's now understand what is single responsibility principle. Let's understand what is single responsibility principle. What is single responsibility principle? Just give me a minute. Okay. So basically, every unit of code, every code unit. Now this code unit can be at the level of a class, a method, or even a package. Everyone, what is a package? What is a package? What is a package? The folder that contains classes, right? Exactly. So collection of classes, exactly. So every code unit, it can be a class, it can be a method, it can be a package, whatever the level of code you are looking at in the code base, should be responsible for exactly one thing. Should have exactly one responsibility. Exactly one responsibility. Okay? That means there should be exactly one reason. There should be exactly one reason to make changes. Okay? Let's understand. Let's understand. Now, if you see here, methods like make sound or fly, they should only be responsible how a bird makes sounds or how a bird flies, right? So for example, let's see, if I look into the method level, make sound or fly, methods should only be responsible to make sound for a bird or fly for a bird. If I look into the class level, everyone, the bird class should only be responsible for holding attributes and methods of birds. Class should only be responsible for holding attributes or methods of bird. That's it. Nothing else it should have. Nothing else it should have. Okay. So let's understand. First of all, what we will do, we'll go deeper and we'll try to see how do we identify, first of all, in a given code base, how do we identify SRP and how do we maintain SRP? Okay. So let's see that. Let's see that. Okay. So let's start with how to identify SRP. How do you identify SRP violation? Sorry, not just SRP. SRP violation. That SRP is being violated. How do we see that? Now, number one point for this is methods with multiple if else. That's what we just saw, right? Methods with multiple if else's. See, violates SRP. Correct. I'll showcase. Naveen, basically think of it like make sound method should only be responsible for making sound. It should not do anything else. Okay. So I'll showcase you the example more. Just wait for a few minutes. You'll understand it better. Okay. So method with multiple if else's. Now again, one thing just to clarify. This is not always true. Might not be true always. Might not be true always. Business logic might need a lot of if else. Right? Might be possible. Your business logic might need a lot of if else. Okay. Okay. Now. Everyone, let's say, if I go into the make sound method, how is the make sound method looking like? If type is equal to crow, then you do something, right? Make sound. Else if type is equal to let's say pigeon, then you do something. Correct? Else if type is equal to sparrow, then also you do something. So on and so forth. Now, if you see here, everyone, if you see here, each block here, right? The logic for making a crow do cow cow or a pigeon do quick goo whatever, and a sparrow doing kui is different, right? I mean, how a crow will make sound, the internal logic of it, the internal algorithm of it, how a crow will make sound, how a sparrow will make sound, and how a parrot will make sound, that will be internally different, right? Yes or no, everyone? Yes or no? Now, if you see here, if you see right here, each block here, each block is having completely separate and independent code, correct? That means, is this thing related to this in any which way? The algorithm for making a crow do cow cow, is it related to the algorithm for a pigeon to do kutubu? Is it in any way related? They're separate, right? Separate code bases. Separate code bases. Okay. So here, why is my method make sound responsible for not only, first of all, figuring out what type of my bird is, but also holds the logic for each bird's sound. Do you see this now? Are you now trying understanding how this make sound is containing multiple things? This make sound not only contains the logic for checking which bird it is, but also contains the logic for each bird's sound creating algorithm. Is that correct? Not only just the checking of what kind of a bird it is, but also for each bird's logic of creating a sound. Why is my make sound method containing every bird's sound creating algorithm? Why it is responsible for that? We'll see, Divyanshu. Hold on, we'll see. Let's take an example. Let's say there is a method called do something. Now, let's say you pass some action. Let's say you pass an action as a string. You pass some action, let's say. Now, if the action is equal to fly, okay, then you write the logic for fly. Else, if the action is equal to sing, then you write the logic for sing. Else, if the action is equal to let's say eat, you write the logic for eat. Now tell me everyone, here eat or dance, whatever, right? Fine, you can put whatever you want to. Now tell me one thing here. This is the code for flying. Code logic for flying. This is the code logic for sing. This is the code logic for dance. Right. Now, why is like this thing here, if you see, why is this method do something responsible for handling all the algorithms for sing, dance, and fly? Why? Can I do something? Everyone, can we take this thing out to a separate method called fly? Take this thing out to a separate method called sing. Take this thing out to a separate method called dance. Can you do that? Can we create three methods, fly, sing, and dance, which contains the algorithm for fly, sing, and dance? Everyone, yes or no? Yes, no, yes, no. So in that case, this method will change to, this entire method will now change to this entire method will now change to fly, sing, dance. Is it correct? Is it correct? Now, are we holding logic for something else inside our do something method? See, the do something method, the only responsibility for it is it should invoke an action. That is the responsibility. Whatever action you provide, do something method should invoke that action. That is the responsibility of do something. But containing the logic of those actions, should that be here? Let's assume, let me tell you one example. Let's say, I make some change in the fly's logic. How a bird flies, I want to make some change in that logic, in that algorithm. Then if this is the method, then where will you make the changes? Here only. Changes will go at this place. Correct? If you want to make changes in the fly. But here, if you make changes in the fly, would you need to make any changes in this code, in this part? No, right? Okay. Similarly, let's see if I want to make changes for singing. This method will be impacted because I'll have to make changes here. But if I have to make changes in singing in this particular code, will this method will get impacted? Will this method get impacted, everyone? So are we changing the do something method for changing of the algorithm of fly or changing the algorithm of sing or changing the algorithm of dance? Is your do something method changing? Everybody, in this case. Hari, are you changing the code to do something method? I'm not saying internally what is happening. Are you going to change a single line of code inside the do something method? No, right? Are we touching the do something method if I change the logic of fly, sing, or dance? No, right? That's what. So this is violating SRP. This method violates SRP. This does not violate SRP. Correct? Where is abstraction here, Navi? Any kind of an interface or abstract method you see here? Fly is a concrete method written somewhere else. Sing is a concrete method written somewhere else. Dance is a concrete method written somewhere else. Any abstraction? That you can say that okay, the do something, like the user who is using the do something method does not need to know the implementation of fly and all. Right? Okay. No, Divanshu. I never said that type check is violating SRP. I said that here in this make sound, it is containing two things. It is containing the type check as well as the algorithm for making sound. Both should not be present. It should be responsible for a single thing. So in this case, in this case, it is checking what action you need to do and invoking that action. Checking the action that you want to do, invoking the action. Checking the action you want to do, invoking that action. Is it also containing the logic of that action? Eventually. Is it containing the logic for the action? No. So again, it's a single responsibility principle. I never said that no type check principle, right? It should be a single responsibility principle. It should not hold more than one responsibility. Here, its responsibility is what action you want to do, invoke that action. Simple. You want to do fly, fly. Sing, sing. Dance, dance. I will not hold the logic for fly. I will not hold the logic for singing. I will not hold the logic for dance. Simple. In this method, yes, Vidhan. Not in general. Don't take it in general that single responsibility principles means that always type check and call that method. No, don't memorize it like that. Here it is. Simply understand single responsibility principle. Everyone is holding one responsibility. That's it. Right? So here, here it is. Other methods it might not be. I hope that is clear, right? Okay. Yeah. Sure. That was point one. Too many if else's to see if it's violating SRP or not. Number two. In this example, it has two things, right? It is not only doing the type checking, but also holding the responsibility of the logic. Correct, Naveen? Also holding the singing logic, also holding the dancing logic. It is containing both the things. Not only checking what you want to do and invoking that, but also holding the logic of flight. Number two, how do you check whether violating SRP or not? Monster methods. Do you guys know what is a monster method? Monster methods? Basically, a method containing a lot of code inside it, and much more logic than the method name suggests. So yeah, Karthik, that's very wrong. That's very wrong. Okay. For example, let's say there's a method called save to database. What is this method saying? That assume that I'm giving you a user object, you have to save this user object to the database. Okay. Now, first of all, to save something to database, you need a database query, correct? So let's say string query. String query is equal to insert into whatever, right? Whatever it is, details. Now, this is the first point. Now, you need to create a database object, right? You need to create a database object. So let's say database db equals to new database. Now for this database, you need to set up the URL db.set URL. You need to db.set connection, set port, right? Set password, set username, db.set password. Right? All these things are there. And then finally, you create the connection, db.make connection. And then finally, make connection. And then finally, you do db.execute query. Execute the query that you created. Okay. First of all, does this look like monster method? I mean, it might not look that big, but it is. It is. It is violating SRP. How is it violating SRP? Let's see. What is the name of the method? What is the name of the method? Save to database. What should it do? It should save to database. But what are the things that it is doing? Let's see. Number one, creating a query. Number two, creating database object. Creating DB object and updating values. Creating DB connection. Create DB connection. Executing the query. Tell me, aren't all these responsibilities inside this method? Yes or no? Okay, correct. So what should be the better way to do this? The better way to do this is create your database, user, string query, create a separate method called create query, and pass the user object. It will create the query for you and give you the final string. Database, DB, get DB connected, get DB connection. Pass the details, whatever you want to pass. Let's say URL, username, password, and get the database directly. And DB dot execute the query. Now tell me, out of the two methods, which one is better? The top one or the below one? Second one, right? Exactly. So the first one violates SRP. This one follows SRP. Understood, everyone? Now you're getting the idea. It's not just about invoking some actions. It's about other things as well. Right? Getting the idea, everyone? Cool? Okay. So the idea here is that you should try to write the code in such a way that your code just has one single responsibility. One single responsibility. Yes, exactly. That's you're right. Right? One single responsibility. Okay, last point. It's very small and last point. Common/utils package. How many of you have seen this? Common package, utils package in your code base? Wrong. Highly discouraged. Highly discouraged. Highly discouraged. You know why? Because when you create a commons package or utils package and all, it ends up becoming a garbage place. Ends up becoming a garbage place. whenever engineers cannot think where to write a certain code, where to add a certain class, they always end up doing that in the commons package or the utils package. Correct? Naveen, yeah, that's the problem. I mean, that's not a problem, but that's how what you will have to do. You'll have to think it in that way that, okay, this is doing create query, this is doing DB connections, and then it is executing the query. So you'll have to separate things out, how things are working. That's it. Okay. So anyway, what I was saying, everyone, that in this case, commons and utils and all, if you create, it becomes becoming a garbage place. People will, whatever they cannot think where it will go, they'll keep it inside the package, inside the util package or the commons package. So don't do that. This also violates SRP on a package level. It violates SRP. Okay, so don't do this. Try to create things as detailed as possible. Okay, try to create as detailed as possible. Okay, so these are the three things: multiple if else's, monster method, and then use of commons package and utils package. Okay, I'm not saying don't use commons and utils, but use it to a very minimal. To a very minimal. Okay. Then Karthik, create a separate method for it. I am not saying that don't do this. I'm not saying don't do this. Do this. It's not like don't do it, but try to create it as detailed or as bifurcated as possible. Okay. So I'll discuss a few examples while we write some code in the upcoming sessions. Where I'll show you that I'm not writing one global common package or one global util package. I will create specific utils. Let's say, for example, a util for student. So student util. A util for, let's say, user util. Not a global util which contains everything. Got it? So try to bifurcate it as much as you can. That's it. So that was SRP. OCP, we will look into it in the next class. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. As soon as your code is modular, having methods is actually appreciated. Having more methods, having more smaller modular methods is appreciated. The more modular method is, the more usability it will be. Right. Cool. Let me know if you guys have any doubts. Feel free to ask if you have any doubts. No. This creating a bird will go further. It's just an example. The bird wala question will go further. Don't worry. I mean, yes, there might be, again, it's a very subjective call. It's a very subjective call. You have to think more deeply into it. That, okay, am I overdoing it? So not over engineering is also a very important skill to have. So I'll talk about this in the next class. Not over engineering. Anything without you can use. Anything you can use. Anything you can use. Bird ke liye, we will do, like, bird is just started. We will complete the bird. Don't worry. The bird question will complete. The Devashish, as I said, this will be discussed in the upcoming sessions. I have a specific agenda item for this, so just hold on for some time. I'll discuss. Okay, I will go deeper into it. Don't worry. What else, folks? What else? Anything else? No? Cool. Then I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is the next class. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, Hari, please go ahead. What is your question? Hey, Hari, go ahead.
Can you hear me, Sandeep?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Question about the abstract method.
Uh-huh.
Like, why is there even an abstract method? I mean, it sounds like a method without any implementation, right?
Correct.
So, like, why not a normal method with a blank implementation, right? Is it like a bad practice, or like there's a keyword?
It's bad. There are two things. First of all, if you're creating a method without any body, it doesn't make sense. I mean, so it's a very bad practice. If somebody is calling that, let's say someone else is using the class that you wrote, might not go deeper and look into the every implementation of your class. Let's say it's a huge code base. They might directly use your class in your method. If they read the method called walk, they'll think that, okay, the method walk is present. It's not an abstract method, so walk is getting implemented. But use an interface, then they will understand, no, it's an interface, so the method definitely must be abstract. I need to take an implementation object. Okay, so first of all, creating an empty method is not a good idea. Completely wrong. Second thing is, if I don't create an empty method, if I create a default method, is that a good idea? No, because for example, let's say dog, cat, or elephant, all three have different walks. They don't have a default walk that, okay, if I'm not able to walk in a certain way, I will go a default way. That is not how it works. So that's why
No.
the abstract method concept comes with it.
So that serves like a marker for others, like marking it
Yes, you can
abstract.
say. If you use an interface or an abstract method, until or unless you don't take the actual implementation, it will not work. The compilation will fail. So
Got it.
obviously,
Okay.
the user who is using a class will understand what they are doing.
Makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Hari. Okay, folks. So yeah, I'll look into that. Lakshmana. Thank you, everyone. I will share your the code base today in your WhatsApp, and let's wrap it up here. I'll see you guys in the next class tomorrow. Bye. Take care. Stay safe. And please uh, play around with the code that we discussed today. Interfaces and abstract class. Okay. Sure. Bye.